Did you put a new dent in that?
This one? No.
Were you texting and driving again?
Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service. With me today I have Mr. Bob Christmer. Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to the show. Good.
Thank you.
Good. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, Bob.
I'm from Avon Lake originally.
Avon Lake, yeah.
I live in Avon now. Let's see here. I have a business here in Brunswick, Fat Bob Pizza. So I have a little bit of a travel, but that's okay. That's my therapy.
So that's why we got you on the show, is because you're a small business, veteran-owned business owner here in Medina County. So we like to highlight all the stuff that goes on with veterans here in Medina County on the show. So I'm glad you could come. Which branch of service were you in?
United States Navy.
Mm-hmm. When did you serve?
Oh boy, February 1989 to like May of 1993.
So did you join right out of high school, or?
No, I waited a couple years.
Yeah. What drove you to the service?
I just wanted to go in the Navy. My friends were in there, and I wanted to serve my country for 4 years, and it just seemed very interesting to me.
Yeah. So when you went to enlist, I guess, what was your thought process as far as, I'm going to choose the Navy, I'm going to enlist? It was the Cold War going on, pretty peaceful time back then.
Yes, it was.
So what was the motivation, though, other than serving your country?
I actually wanted to get into institutionalized cooking.
Okay.
I wanted to get into, the hospital end of it, the dietary segment of it. And I knew the Navy would actually help me out with that.
And hence here, 30 years later, you're owning a restaurant. Yeah, great. So what was basic training like in, the first couple months of the service?
Very cold.
Where did you go to basic? You don't mind me asking?
I was in Great Lakes.
All right. That's where all
Illinois.
the Navy guys go, I think.
Yeah. In February, it was very cold there.
So they gave you your choice of being a dietitian or being a food service?
Yeah, they did. I went in under the rate mess management specialist.
Mm-hmm. And serve on any ships, or were you always on the land?
No, because I didn't know that you had to live on a ship until after I signed up. And my senior chief says, well, you can get whatever choice of duty if you want, if you score highest in your class. So I made that my personal goal, just because I knew I could pick somewhere close to Cleveland.
So where'd you go after basic training?
Great Lakes.
Really?
Naval Hospital, Great Lakes.
Where's that at?
It's right across from Service School Command.
Okay, so it's still up there by Chicago and Milwaukee.
I used to walk across the street from where I went to boot camp.
Right.
Actually, I was feeding the kids in boot camp, and I was feeding the students, corpsman students, at Naval Hospital, Great Lakes.
So that's how you got tied into this whole medical thing, working at the hospital.
Yes.
How did you? What'd you do? In your service, I know you were deployed over to Desert Storm. How did that come about?
Oh, that's very interesting. I came down to bake shop at 3:30 in the morning, and my senior chief was there, and he says, hey, you want to go over to Iraq? There's a war going on. I said, sure, why not? And then I'd say about 1,400 or so, they announced my name and said me to get up to the 5th floor to get my immunizations. I thought he was fooling. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, I'm off to the war.
So who'd you go over there with? Who'd you deploy with?
We went with 17 people from Naval Hospital, Great Lakes. We rendezvoused with some people from Portsmouth. And we were the first ones in. And we had to build the hospital and get everything going before everybody got over. So we were the first people there.
So where'd you build the MASH hospital at?
Boy, it's an area like right below Kuwait into Saudi Arabia. It was actually in a parking lot, but it was on a port.
Okay.
So it went out like on a peninsula. So we set up camp on asphalt, but we were still surrounded by the Persian Gulf.
Right. What'd you do the time you were over there? So you got there before.
Yes.
So you got there after the invasion in August.
Right.
But before the war, obviously. So when did you get there? About
We got there in July.
Okay.
And then we had to hurry up and build the hospital. Then we had to build the food service part of it. You know, we had to put in our own freezers or refrigerators. We had to build all those because we didn't have access to too much stuff. But we had to have that up and running because MREs weren't cutting it for people.
So you were over there throughout the war. So you were over there, what, about 8-9 months or so?
Let's say 10. Because I was the last one to leave also.
So what was it like being over there?
It was very hot. A lot of bugs.
Drink a lot of water.
A lot of spiders.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of weight, but I really had a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what did you see or do on a daily basis, you know, especially, you know, once the war started, those, you know, couple weeks leading up to it? I mean, obviously your op tempo probably picked up a little bit even for a guy that's feeding everybody.
Yeah, well, we had to build 2 different galleys. So we're on our second galley at the time. We also had collateral duties. We did a lot of, we made a lot of sandbags, built a lot of bunkers, and we had to strong back our tents. We had to build the hospital. And then we also had to travel to different camps to pick up food and stuff like that. We also helped out the Seabees doing a bunch of construction stuff. I learned how to operate a very large tow motor or forklift, if you would call it, very quick. So
when you came home, how much longer were you in the service after you got back home?
Oh boy, after I got back home, I believe I was in for about 1 year and 4 months. They gave me my choice of duty because I was in the war. Normally you go to a ship, but they had a galley over in Suda Crete, which is an island off of Greece, ran by the Greek Air Force. So they said, we're going to tear this galley down, we're going to build a tent, and we got this guy that knows how to do that. So I went from Desert Storm working out of a tent all the way to Greece, Suda Crete, and we built another tent there and we cooked out of it till the main galley was built. Wow,
that had to be pretty good duty over there.
It was.
Yeah, much better than Saudi Arabia,
gosh,
probably.
Yes. I lived right on a beach. It was unbelievable.
So when you time comes to get out and you decide, hey, I'm getting out of the service, what's your thought process there? What are you going to do? I mean, you got to go to school, going to get a job.
Well, I knew I was going to build a restaurant, and I did. But on top of doing that, my father retired, and so I started up a cleaning company, and I specialized in carpeting and fabrics and drapes and stuff like that. Coupled up with a friend of mine, and got into the fire restoration business. And then when that went down, his family owned a restaurant in Rocky River called Pelicanos. My friend got sick, and he couldn't work at Pelicanos and the fire restoration and all that stuff. So I took over Pelicanos, he took over the cleaning. And I owned and operated that for 19 years.
You've pretty much been self-employed
my whole life.
Yeah, your whole life.
Yes.
So what do you think you drew from the military that you use in building those businesses that you built?
Discipline.
Discipline.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously a little bit of the cooking stuff too, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's always a good thing to know. But being in all them different countries, I was able to take advantage to go see local cuisine and talk to different people, and that's how I learned basically how to cook.
Well, obviously, you built the MASH hospital, and I remember when they built the MASH hospital in Bosnia. I mean, that's no small undertaking. It's a huge complex.
Oh, it was huge because we also had over 100 helicopters there.
Bringing stuff in and everything else.
Yeah, we had casualties coming in all the time.
So you got that drive to get stuff done,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So coming back, I mean, you're at that age where you probably grew up a little bit in the shadows of Vietnam. you remember the guys from Vietnam.
Oh,
You
yes.
remember what the country was like in the early 80s, maybe the late 70s, I don't know. And then you remember it after Desert Storm, and you see it today. How do you think that country shifted, from our, talking about veterans to after Desert Storm to where we're at today?
I don't think veterans were accepted after Vietnam. I thought they got a bad deal. But it changed, because when I stepped off that plane, it was different.
Yeah.
People actually appreciated us.
And I think, from my perspective, and flashing forward even to Iraq and Afghanistan, I think those Vietnam veterans were the ones, especially I remember when the Persian Gulf hit, and even though it was a short war, they were coming home. It was the Vietnam vets that were going, we need to be out there for these guys.
Oh yeah,
Even
they were
though nobody was there for
100%.
us. We need to be there. So I think they really changed a lot of the the perception of how we're viewed and veterans are viewed today. I think that really
Absolutely.
lies on the back of them. So how'd you get to where you're at today, being here in Medina County and owning a small business and a veterans-owned business? How'd you get there?
Well, I originally got out of the restaurant business, I would have to say about 6 years ago. I came down with a medical condition where I was advised to sell the restaurant. So my wife and I sold it, and then after 3 years we missed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that this restaurant here in Rocky River was coming up for sale, and I knew it was owned by the family that has Angelo's in Lakewood, because I know the owner there. And so we ended up buying it.
Mm-hmm. You mean the one here in Brunswick?
That is correct,
Yeah, the one in
yes.
Brunswick. So do you promote yourself as a veteran-owned business, or you just
Yes,
kind
I
of,
do.
you do?
I sure do.
So do you get any, does anything come back on that? I ask people that all the time. So do you feel as though
Sure.
people come out to your place because you're a veteran?
Absolutely.
And the food's great too. So I gotta say I've eaten your food.
They tell me
plenty
that
of
all the
time.
time, which is good. I'm glad they enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I offer a 15% off any order from a veteran. You don't have to show a DD-214 or anything. Usually it's obvious. You
Yeah.
can tell a veteran a mile away.
Yeah.
And I'm also in the American Legion. I'm second vice for Post 234.
For the one here in
Brunswick.
Brunswick? Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's the Legion do here in Brunswick? And I know Bob and everything, but tell our viewers what you see them as.
Well, we do a lot of funerals.
Local funerals.
Yes, yes, and sometimes they're far away, and there's a lot of fundraising that we do, and also the boys' state and the girls' state is real important.
Right. Yeah. I know you guys raise a lot of money for. You send a couple kids every year to boys' state and girls' state.
Yes, we do. I think this last year it was 12 kids we sent.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, boys' state and girls' state, basically you run a state government. It's amazing.
Yes.
Have you ever been down there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So it's crazy that they hundreds of kids. I don't know how many they get, but there's a governor and an attorney general that they all get voted on, and
Yeah,
and all the way down to the highway patrolman that gives the kids tickets for crossing the street the wrong way, and they got to raise funds and budgets. It really is I think they should have an adult state, because there's a lot of people that could learn a lot about how our
that is
government works.
Excellent learning experience, especially when you hear the comments from the kids that come back
Yeah.
and share their experiences.
I know both of my kids have participated, and they both, kind of a little kicking and dragging to go, but on their way home they're like, "Wow, it was one of the greatest."
Everybody said
experiences.
that they were glad they went. So.
Yeah. No kid wants to give up a week of his summer vacation to do anything that someone tells them to do. So when you did get out, though, you served some time in the reserves, which pretty much you were just on a reserve status, no call-ups or anything like that, right?
Oh yeah, we had no call-ups, but we drilled downtown. I was attached to a CB unit, and it was kind of nice because I was able to cook for them.
Mm-hmm. Here in Cleveland, or
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
here in Cleveland.
So I didn't realize they had all that here.
Yeah, we drilled up by the islands, and it was kind of nice.
So what can I share with the other veteran-owned businesses in Medina County that benefits you as a veteran-owned business to let people know that?
Well, I would have to say the nice thing about being a veteran and owning a business, people will recognize you for that, especially if you give back to the community and you support other veterans, whether they own a business or not.
Right.
And if you support the veterans' families. And I think that was a big thing. I don't really have time to do it, but I make time to do it.
Because it's important.
Very important.
Yeah. So I know, back in the military, so you were in charge of, so many people and getting meals out to people. So, flash forward back into what you're doing today. What challenges do you have in the restaurant business that, you draw your, maybe are similar challenges that you had in the military, or that you draw on that military training to help solve?
Well, dealing, especially my business, making artesian pizza, it's difficult because you have a timeline, and you have to make that timeline, or it doesn't work. The recipe won't work. We're making the pizza dough fresh every day. It's not like anything's frozen and thawed out, and that's usually how it is in most places. I'm doing it the old school way, which I learned years ago, and that's the most challenging, and getting that to perform the right way, because you have change of seasons, you have change of temperature, barometric pressure, all that affects.
All affects that pizza dough.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And then you have to. Another thing that's challenging is finding a supplier that has a consistent product, because consistency is really important. Everybody wants to have the same thing that they had before.
Right. Yeah. If I get a mushroom Italian pizza, I want it to be the same as before.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that's where you have to keep on your supplier to have the right products for you.
So did you learn some of that in the military? I mean,
I sure did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. I know you we talked about the Legion and stuff like that, and you do a lot of events around here for the vet. What's some of the events that you've done, not just for veterans, but throughout your community as a community effort out of Fat Bob's Pizza?
Well, we did a lot of catering for the Brunswick High School football PTA and boosters. We fed the kids after their meals, a large quantity of people, but that worked out very well. We also do catering for the American Legion. There's various customers out there that use us on a basis where it's scheduled every month.
Right. I know we've used you for our
Yes.
our veterans benefits briefs, and come on out and have dinner with the veterans, and everybody's always complimented about how great the food is. And I know I just recently had the mushroom pizza that you dropped off, and I'm a pizza lover, so like literally Thanksgiving Day in my book should be pizza.
I hear you.
So I ask everybody that's come on the show, if you had the opportunity to go back and serve your country again and do all that, would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you got to share with our viewers out there, especially our younger ones, about the military? I mean,
I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't sign up for the Navy.
There you go.
That's for sure.
And obviously, you're a successful restaurant owner.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for coming on Salute to Service. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month on Salute to Service. Thank you.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
You're watching The Back.